Hey folks, this is Gray here, and today we're going to be looking at the Delta Pro 3. Folks, you asked for it, and EcoFlow has delivered. All right, so this video is probably going to run pretty long. I'm going to try to give you everything that I can on the Delta Pro 3 because it is a monster of a system. And basically, the way we're going to break down this video, I'll do chapters to make it easy for people to skip around if they need to. Don't want to hear me ramble too long, let's say about specifications and information versus testing and the whole look around of the unit. But that's what we're going to do. So we're going to do information and specifications first. Then we'll move on to a looky-loo at the unit itself. We'll look at all the inputs and outputs and talk about those and the capabilities of some of those. And then we'll also do the next part will be number 3, which we'll do with testing. And testing, we'll test a portable AC unit. We'll test a dual hot plate burner as well as a heater. We'll try to get the unit to fail. We'll also try to look at the uninterruptible power supply system in this, which is 10 milliseconds, which is unheard of from my perspective in any of the power stations that I've reviewed in the past, which will come in handy for you folks that use medical equipment. Outside of that, we'll come back to me and wrap it up. I'll get your final thoughts on this as well as mine. And what would you use something like this for? All right, so let's kind of get into some of the specifications of the Delta Pro 3. The net weight comes in roughly about 114 pounds, but the thing has wheels and a handle, so that makes it amazing. I also like the little gripping things that you'll see in the video when we're kind of doing the looky-loo of the unit. I'm not going to go into product dimensions. I mean, if you really care, you go to their website and look at those, right? Max output is at 4,000 watts. Very powerful unit. Max input is 7,000 watts. 7,000 watts of input into this system on a multi-charging system like, AC and solar and whatnot. Anyways, it has 7 outlets, which we will go over. Some of these outlets are going to be very important to some of you folks out there. It has like 4 of you. I'm going to get a little technical here, but hopefully, like I said, if you ever have questions, just Google it. It has 4 NEMA 520 520R 120 volt / 20 amps. So what does that mean? It's a straight blade 125 volt 20 amp receptacle outlet, which is what most people have. 15 to 20 amps is what most people have in their home. But this one's equipped with 20 amps versus your 15 amps that's coming standard in your place of your living dwelling, your dwelling of living. Anyways, it also has a TT30, 120 volt, 30 amp. What does that mean? It means it's RV ready. So, like I said, if you're an RV or a van lifer or something like that, this thing is RV ready. Plus, it has some other benefits as well. And it also has one L1430, 120 volt / 240 volt, 16.7 amp. Basically, I consider this, there's a term for it, generator plug. But you can do some other things with it as well. Like I said, I'm just kind of touching on the basics to kind of give you some understanding of why the unit has some of the things that it has on it. And it'll make more sense when we kind of look at it and see the type of plug that it is. It also has a NEMA 620R, 240 volt, 16.7 amp. Now, this plug would be used for like really powerful AC units, portable heaters. Hey, if you got a hot tub, it works for that too. They have a heavy draw. You want to have the hot tub in the apocalypse. Hey, why not survive, or not just survive, thrive. There we go. Also, for level 2 EV chargings, if you have an EV or electric vehicle or maybe a hybrid or something like that, you can use that outlet for that as well. All right, let's move on to our DC outlets. DC outlets, it has 7 of them. It has 2 Type C 100 watt max, as well as a USB-A ×2 at 18 watts max. And it has a DC 5521, kind of your barrel connectors. One of those at, 5 amp max, an Anderson at a 30 amp max, and a remote control port, which I don't know specifically what that's for until I get a look at it. And specifically, I'm assuming there's a gadget for that. Anyways, the battery itself is a 4,096 watt hour battery, lithium iron phosphate, up to 4,000 cycles. I've explained cycles many times. You're charging it, discharging it. That's one cycle, and so on and so forth. And no, the unit is not dead after that. It just reduces its efficiency down to about 80%. You get about, on average use for storms or for emergency preparedness, you're probably get about roughly 10 to 11 years on something like that. Wi-Fi and the app I've showed you guys the apps before. A lot of you guys don't like doing the apps, which we're going to talk about something. You don't have to use an app for this one. If you happen to buy the additional little thing they have, this little tablet thingy, which is quite interesting, then you don't have to put something on your phone if you choose not to do so. Outside of that, it does have a 5-year warranty, which is awesome. Goes into the operating temperatures. But again, the unpredictable power supply on this thing, folks, is 10 milliseconds. 10 milliseconds is probably the fastest UPS or unpredictable power supply that I've ever seen on a unit. So that means if you have medical equipment, you know, that is very, very sensitive when there's a power outage or a surge or something like that, and your power goes down, you need something like bingo, like instantly in 10 milliseconds. Just think about 10 milliseconds. I've reviewed other products on here, you know, they're 30, you know, maybe even up to 20 milliseconds. This is 10 milliseconds. And then they say this thing is very, very quiet. So if you need it in a situation where you're trying to sleep and the generator is in a room that you're sleeping in, let's say you know, everybody's in the house, you get the AC plugged into this thing, you're trying to cool a room because you live in Florida like myself, it is 1,000 degrees, a hurricane has took the power out and whatnot, and you want to cool a room and everybody's sleeping in the room and you don't want a big sound going on, as some of the units have done in the past. 30 decibels. 30 decibels is quite impressive, and we're going to test that. Got a bunch of certifications and all that jazz as well. Man, and that's just kind of scraping the iceberg of the specifications, because it has X boost and X fusion technology. I know, what is that, Gray? Basically, it can power common appliances that can kind of exceed over the 4,000 watt mark. X boost pushes it up to 6,000. If you're trying to, like, you know, if it's something just like that surge or whatnot, you can kind of still, the unit's not going to cut off on you. Again, we'll see that in testing. I'll try to push it as fast as I can. But stuff like dryers and water heaters and stuff like that, if you're trying to run something like that on a unit like this. What else do I got for you? I think I've went over some of the other things in regards to output. It does have you can push it to 8,000 watts max, but it's only going to last you about 400 milliseconds. So it's cool, but, you know, it might work for like just a little quick surge, you know, and when it drops back down on something that's going to pull 8,000 watts. That's some serious power there, folks. Think about your AC unit outside. Usually they pull about, you know, the outside units, they run about 3,500 to 4,000 watts. And I'm pretty sure the kick-on's probably around 6,000. But you kind of get where I'm going with that. Anyways, like I said, it has that X-Quiet exclusive technology. Fancy, fancy, fancy. And like I said, it has dual PV charging, smart generators, and other gas generators you can use with this. AC charging, EV charging, level 2 charging with the gun for, I think that's 4 kilowatts max. And you can do car charging or using a smart home panel as well. The battery is quite interesting. They've done a little bit more something with the chemistry of this battery. And it's an EV grade battery, IP65 lithium iron phosphate. Has several different certifications with that as well. And now let's look into battery management system. EMS on this thing is quite beefy. And what I mean by beefy, it has 44 different protection measurements. And that's great. So it's checking the board, it's checking the fans, it's checking what's coming in, what's going out. It's very, very packed full of tech. Can't connect this thing to your home via a smart home panel, the smart home panel 2 by EcoFlow. You can use an inlet box, a manual volt transfer switch. It can handle 120 volts and 240 volt access. I mean, this thing can energize almost everything, folks. 120 to 240 volts, 4,000 watt output, expandable to 12,000 watts max. Quite impressive, folks. Quite the unit, man. And this might be replacing one of my other units that I've kind of running, not the house, but running a lot of my major appliances. Outside of that, folks, let's move on to taking a look at the unit, all the inputs and outputs, and kind of just look at them real quick where they're on the unit, and kind of check the thing out and see what your thoughts are on that. And then we'll get into some testing, and then we'll wrap it up with myself jabbering at the jaw again for your viewing pleasure. As they say, lots of notes here, folks, but hopefully you enjoy the rest of the video. All right, folks, so let's kind of give this thing kind of like a look around. And it is a very pretty system, very sleek in design. That nice flat top to add additional batteries. On top of that there, this is what I was talking about here, is you got these nice handles on here, this little like Velcro thing. You can take them off if you want, but when you're lifting this thing, you have these nice little grippers on here that feel pretty good. And of course, like I said, the thing has wheels on it. And let me move over here out of this light, but the wheels are pretty solid. I've been kind of putting them through their paces and checking them out, you know what I mean? Also, It has this nice telescoping rod up front here that we're going to push out. And you can extend that out, and then you lift the unit up, and then it just kind of locks back into place right there. So it's definitely, even at 114 pounds, you can kind of maneuver this thing wherever you need to move it to. I could spin it around because you got your front panel here. You got some ports on both sides of that. And of course, you have a lot of stuff on the back panels. I do like this aspect because when you put these down, I'm always worried about breaking something. So they made it so you can slide that thing in there, which was very, very cool. Love that thing right there. And then, of course, you can cover it up to protect the import there, or the input there, and go from there. You got your fans up here. And I think, if I recall correctly, then you have your fan up there on the front as well. All right, so let's go ahead and push that button. 2 seconds roughly. I think it is what it is. Everything boots up, shows you the screen and where it's at. Nice pretty screen. Sorry about the reflection, but you know, that's life. It connects to everything, and like I said, we're also going to be talking about this little guy up here. For folks that don't want apps on their phone, this is very nifty. All right, so what we'll start here is we're going to start on this part of the unit here. You can clearly see it has an input, output, and of course it's going to tell you how much time you have on your battery, depending on what you have going in and out. Right now it's not plugged into the grid, it's just a freestanding unit running on its own power. And that's that there. Of course, this here is going to be your on and off switch right here to that. And you'll kind of see some of the things pop up. Like most units, you'll see like an icon. If you push, like, let's say the AC button, if I turn the AC button on, of course, you're going to hear that click and you're going to see that button pop up right there. And it's the same with pretty much any other thing that you see. It kind of gives you the information that you're looking for, that is activated. Also, I'll scroll down here in a second when we go to this, and you can see that lights up. All right, so moving on, you got right here, these are going to be your two USB-C 100 watts. These are always going to be on right here. So you have two USB 100s, Type Cs, and then you have your USB-A fast chargers on here as well. All right, so let's talk about this section right here first. This is going to be your 120 volts, your on and off switch right here, so you can go ahead and turn that on. You can kind of see that there. The unit's going to click on, of course, that icon pops up when I use that. And this is going to activate these 4 plugs right here in this section. All right, so let's talk about this section right here first. This is going to be your 120 volts, your on and off switch right here, so you can go ahead and turn that on. You can kind of see that there. The unit's going to click on, of course, that icon pops up when I use that. And this is going to activate these 4 plugs right here in this section. And basically, so whatever you plug into this, once that's activated, you're going to add power to that unit there. And the same thing with this other section, which is your 240 volt. You turn that thing on, it's going to disengage this because you cannot run both at the same time. You have to kind of pick and choose the way the inverter is working inside the Delta Pro 3. All right, so on this side of the unit, we're going to go ahead and slide that open there. And let me bring the camera a little bit closer to this. All right, so then you can kind of see the inputs here. And by activating this section here, you're going to just push this button here. And that's going to activate this section here. That's where you have a barrel connector for 12 volts, 5 amp. This is for remote, for, like I say, your has a cat, basically an RJ45 on there. And then, of course, this is another input system here, right here as well. So you have 3 of those on the side right here, and this is a 12 volt, 30 amp. And like I said, everything has a purpose on the unit itself. That's just a side unit there, and I'm gonna go ahead and close that. And it just fits there. It's nice and clean on the side there. All right, so let's move to the other side. All right, so on the left-hand side of the unit, we have this. And this is going to be your RV plug right here. I don't have an RV, so I'm not familiar with using something like this here, but it's nice to have that option as well. All right, so now we're going to move to the back of the unit. And I like how EcoFlow did this, where they labeled everything so it makes sense that when you open this, you don't have to know, oh, if this is an Anderson connector or if this is that type of connector. It has a picture and tells you what it's for. So we'll start up here on this one here. bring that down. And like I said, I really like this aspect where this kind of just tucks under there. You kind of just slide it in there and stays out the way so that you don't break that off. Very forward thinking. So here's where you're going to plug it into your home with an AC connector here. The reason I try to keep my hands out of the video is because the camera likes to focus on the hand instead of what I'm trying to show you. But right here, this is where your AC would go into the wall, and you can control this here from your fast charging, and then you can, of course, set it to adjust as well. So I like that they actually built a button in there instead of having to depend solely on the app itself. And of course, like you said, if you look at this here, let me bring this back up, this is going to be your solar input or your current input, because you can do both depending on the type of connector that you have using. Anyways, this is your AC in and out port. We'll go ahead and bring that down. So for expandability, of course, you're going to have these two ports here. We'll go ahead and drop both of those down and slide them in. And like I said, it almost looks like you can see how it looks almost like a smaller version of this here. And I'm assuming they're trying to make it so that everything runs smoothly with the type of cables that they're using for these devices. So of course, this would be your additional batteries that you'd be plugging into this. Now these are solely specifically made for to put the batteries to, not to play anything else or stick anything else in there. So you have two ports for your additional batteries for the expandability of the unit itself. And I think that's going to be all the inputs and outputs on this unit. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. If I did, of course, throw that down in the comments and scold me as best as you can and let me know, hey Gray, you missed that port there. I guess before we do the testing, I'll talk about the EcoFlow's PowerInsight. As you can see, it's a tablet that you can mount anywhere, and kind of gives you all the information of the unit. It is touchscreen, and you can kind of touch it and, you know, want to click on certain things to see where you're at. When you have certain things plugged in and whatnot, you can use that instead of having the app on your phone. And some folks may ask, well, I don't want to mount it on my wall and then it be stuck to the wall. Well, you could also add things down the road to this thing here, because this does pop right off. And you can kind of just see, let me try to get it out of the light here, but you can kind of take it around with you and just keep an eye on things while the generator's running. And I like that aspect, and you can see and activate things from here. I'm trying to one-hand this here by pushing certain things and clicking on them when they're active, and it'll tell you what's inside of it. Of course, you have a home button and whatnot, but I'm going to go ahead and put this back here, because basically when you're done, you can put it back on here and then click on so it charges the unit. Because the unit, of course, you want to keep charged. I don't know what that was, but you want to keep that charged right there. And you can see I have the USB-C here plugged into this little box of mine right here. And the last thing I kind of wanted to show you, if you push this button here, it takes you to kind of like the home screen. You can kind of see in big letters what you're using there and whatnot. And I thought that was neat. You can just kind of swipe through there, and it kind of tells you all the information that you need. All right, so enough of the horseplay. Let's get into testing. Let's bring over the AC unit here. We'll get that thing going. We'll plug it in, and we'll see where we're at with that. Go ahead and plug this thing in right there. I do like the fact that they put the plugs like that on the side, because it lets me have more room. Because if you have the plug going up and down like this, it would block that plug. So this is giving me an option to have plugs off to the side. So something like this doesn't take away one of my plugs. Very, very smart, EcoFlow. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. We're going to turn this on. And remember, right now, we still have it connected to the grid. So it has an input. I'm going to go ahead and turn the AC on and see where we're at with that. All right, it's almost pushing 1800 watts into the unit from that receptacle. So let's go ahead and turn on the AC unit. Of course, you can hear that. Let's see if it peaks out. 183 watts running the fan. When the compressor kicks on, then we'll know the draw on the AC unit itself. There we go. Compressor just kicked on. Very nice. Everything seems to be running smooth. I have this thing set at 62. I'm telling you folks, this feels amazing right now sitting in this garage. No problems, which I wouldn't expect any problems with the EcoFlow running something like this. And you can see the input in there. No issues there. I'm going to go ahead and plug the unit back in the grid, and then we'll continue doing some of our testing here. But I think the AC test is a success. There we go. Maybe I was bringing it up here. Success. All right, now that we're back to hand hold it, we'll go ahead and shut off this AC unit. Turn that off. It should kick off here. There. And that'll bring the unit back down, most likely to 0. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and plug in the heater. And you'll see the scheme that I got going on here basically is I'm going to plug in basically everything one at a time, test each individual item one at a time, and then kind of go from there. All right, so the light came on the heater. This heater can push out anywhere from 12 to 1600 watts, and this is a very tiny portable heater. It just has a heavy draw, and the reason I like doing this is because a lot of folks always want to know what these things can handle, and between the combination of these three things, if it can handle it, then of course that's going to make sure that's going to handle something like, let's say, this deep freezer here, or your refrigerator, or things that are important to preserve your food, run power in your house, air condition, fans, medical devices, and so on and so forth. All right, so where are we at on this heater here? So it's in max mode. We'll go ahead and turn it on the fan. Feel that fan kick on. There we go. It's pulling about little to nothing. I want to let it settle down before we turn on the heater. It's on max, right? Yeah, it's on max. All right. It is on the grid. As you can see, I got input coming in and stuff going out. All right, so let's go ahead and turn the heater on low. That should geek this up a little bit. That draws up to 1,000 watts already. And that's with the heater on low with max fan. I can feel the heat on me. I'm already starting to sweat. All right, now let's push this thing all the way high. High mode, 1400, 1500. As you can see, the grid power is trying to keep up with the unit. Ooh, that's very hot. I'm burning up now, folks. But as you can see, the unit's handling it effortlessly, and if I can actually pronounce my words today, with no issues at hand. No error codes, no nothing. Very cool. And if you want to kind of bounce back over here, that's going to tell me totally AC out how many kilowatts I'm using on that unit there. And it kind of gives you the information when the units are plugged in. 98%, 13 minutes before it's fully charged. And again, like I said, you can kind of swipe through these things here. Total solar, yada, yada, yada. Total AC input today. And that tells you how many inputs of how many kilowatt hours you're using. So just kind of like those little devices that myself and Rudy were talking about, this will keep track of all that. Anyways, back to the testing. I think we're going to go ahead and turn this heater off before I sweat to death and have a heat stroke. Go ahead and turn that off. Bring that back down to 0. There we go. All right, next we're going to go ahead and plug in the hot plate. This guy here. Plug it in down here. And the reason I'm trying to hand hold this, because I don't want to do any cuts. I just want to show you guys that I'm just plugging things in and using it like most people would in the real world. Some of the testing videos I've seen out there kind of do a lot of cuts, and you can't really tell sometimes what's going on outside of individual units. We have 3 high drain units now plugged into this. Now, with the unit over there, just to turn it on, it's still flatlined at 0. So what we're going to go ahead and do is turn one side on. Let's turn this side on first. I'm going to go ahead and turn it all the way up to max. We'll see where that's at. It's pulling 1,000 watts there. 0 issues. We'll go ahead and turn the other burner on to max. All the way up. That's going to pull 1,600 watts. Close to 1,700. And as you can see, the grid power is trying to upkeep with that, or stay up with it, wherever the proper term is. But the unit itself, the fan is on, but you don't hear anything. Listen. Nothing. Amazing unit, folks. This is truly, I've gotten to test this thing for the last several weeks now, and I've been thoroughly impressed with this unit. All right, so enough is enough. Let's see if we can get the EcoFlow to fail. And again, I'm a tester when it comes to testing these units. I suggest you folks don't make a unit fail on purpose like I'm going to here. If it does fail or if it doesn't fail, regardless, you don't want to kind of push the units the way I'm going to be pushing the units themselves. But it's just going to give you guys an idea of how much power this thing can hold. So I'm about to burn myself up. I'm going to keep the hot plate on. We're going to go ahead and turn this on to high and see how the unit does with the heater. This is a 4,000 watt power, not power supply, but power station. We're at 3,000 watts, almost 3,100. Everything is still running pretty smooth. The only sound I'm getting from is the fan from that. And my face is on fire now from the heat blowing on me. So now we're going to push this unit more than it's capable of. So we're going to turn on. And is it counterproductive having all this heat going on and then we're about to turn the AC on? So let's see what happens if everything fails on me. When that compressor kicks on, we're going to see how the unit does. I think folks really like this part of the video because you're really pushing these units as hard as they can go. There we go, 4,000. 4,100, 4,200. The unit is rated at 4,000 kilowatts. Compressor's on. I don't know if you can hear that. You can hear that compressor kicked on. We're at 42. Folks, a lot of you folks have been watching my reviews for quite some time and know that when I plug all three of these things in, sometimes only two of them, most units will fail. This thing is running smoothly beyond its capabilities. Remember, it has that capability of the X boost at 6,000 watts, and then it could also handle a crazy amount of all the way up to 8,000 watts for 400 milliseconds. This thing is having zero issues, folks. Zero issues. Phenomenal. I have to give EcoFlow credit. You have designed a system that is very powerful and can handle a lot that I've thrown at it. Very nifty. And the reason I'm hanging around kind of just jabbering at the jaw is because I want to see if anything happens as it continues to run beyond its capability. Just kind of keeping an eye on it instead of cutting it here and saying, hey guys, it worked really good for hours and hours and hours. I'm just waiting for it to see if I'm going to get any error codes whatsoever. Now the last test I'm going to do, I'm really going to push this thing. I'm pretty sure I might be able to get it to fail by unplugging it from the grid over there. Let's see what happens. I like how the tablet is linked up directly with this and giving me the information that I need. What's going in, what's coming out. I'm gonna go ahead and move this up. You can see a lot more information there. Just want to make sure I don't burn myself on the hot plates. But it gives you all that information, what's plugged in. 1 point, however many, you can see the AC there, 1.64 kilowatts. I'm pulling 4.4 kilowatts out. Very cool. All right, let me go ahead and pull this. Let me set the camera up so you guys can see, and I'll pull it and see if I get any errors. My apologies in advance for all the noise. All right, folks, here goes nothing. The EcoFlow is beyond its max, and I'm going to see if it can handle being unplugged from the grid at this much power coming out of it. Wow. 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 That is nuts. Wow, folks. Everything, as you can see, everything is running. The heater, the hot plates, AC, it's running beyond its capability, and it's still running. Still running beyond its capability, unplugged from the grid, 10 milliseconds. That is quite impressive. Quite impressive. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start turning some of this stuff down because the heater is driving me crazy. Turn that down, turn this hot plate off. I'm probably gonna leave the AC running because I enjoy the AC, but I'll turn it off just for the purposes of this video. Ooh, now I'm telling you folks, that was a lot of information to digest. Anyways, folks, I may have gotten some things wrong. Hopefully I got a lot of things right. When it comes to the, I'm not an electrician, so a lot of the numbers sometimes will, kind of in my brain. But anyways, if you are someone that catches something that I miss, please politely put that in the comments so that when other folks are reviewing the comments and going down in the section for additional information outside of the information that I have provided in this video, they can get some context to that. And I don't mind, because I'm bound to make mistakes as the fact that I'm only human. And I'm just kind of glancing over the notes of what I have here for you because there was tons and tons of notes here. But last thing I want to do, a couple of things I want to go over is the system performed extremely well. This is a unit that you could use for just about anything in your home, especially if you start adding on batteries and, the smart generators and start, building this unit out as a foundation for your whole home system, basically. This video drops on the 25th and the sale will be going on. And during the sale is usually when you're going to save a ton of cash until possibly the next sale, depending on what your financial situation is. I know the economy is horrible, and unfortunately, it's the way it is. Hopefully, it'll change here soon. So let me give you my spiel that EcoFlow has given me in regards to the big sale that they're having, which starts today, the 25th. Don't miss out on EcoFlow Tech's exclusive offer. Purchase now on the EcoFlow website and unlock incredible benefits valued up to $3,000. Buy one of the EcoFlow Delta Pro 3s and get one EcoFlow 400 watt solar panel for free. Or buy one of EcoFlow Delta Pro 3s with a $500 coupon. It doesn't stop there, folks. It does not stop there. You can get a $300 upsell discount when purchasing any of these 3 bundles. The 3 bundles that they have on sale is the EcoFlow Smart Home Panel 2 with the EcoFlow Delta Pro 3. If you're trying to build that whole home system, you can do the EcoFlow Delta Pro 3 with the smart generator, the dual fuel smart generator, which is interesting. I've talked to EcoFlow and they said they're going to send me one of those. So you're probably going to see a follow-up on the Delta Pro 3 in conjunction with the smart Jenny, just because I think that's the most efficient way to run something like this. Just my personal take on it. And the other one is the EcoFlow Delta Pro 3 with an extra battery. Of course, you can add multiple batteries to it and build this thing out. Also, for you folks that are actually going to be looking into something like this for a whole home solar system, if you get, you can get an extended 2-year warranty because it has a 5-year warranty, but you can get extended 2-year warranty of the EcoFlow Delta Pro 3 and free installation consulting services through their process, and that's all on their website. So you're going to go look for more information. You're going to look at that, fill out the proper paperwork, and yada yada yada, and get that information. So outside of me just going over this, folks, check out other reviews, check out other sites. I think that you got folks like Hobotech that have been doing this for a long time. They got some great information out there, as well as other reviewers. Whenever I'm looking at something, I always kind of go above and beyond and watch probably 10 different reviews before I actually buy something. That's just the way I am. Of course, I want you to click on my link, but everybody has to have a little piece of the pie. Outside of that, folks, I hope that you did get some value out of this. You got at least some understanding in regards to the Delta Pro 3. It's quite the machine. And the expandability is quite impressive. There's just lots of information here. Outside of that, folks, remember, you are not alone. This is GreyMan. I'm out. I'll see you guys on a rebound, and God bless every single one of you amazing people out there. And again, thank you for taking the time to watch this video.